Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Growing Happy Babies Birthworkers interview series. In this podcast directory, I make sure that you have the easiest possible time deciding which wonderful birth supporter is right for inviting into your family's journey. All the potential members of your essential prenatal and postpartum village are assembled right here in the Growing Happy Babies directory. Doulas, midwives, prenatal and infant body workers, lactation consultants, and so much more. I'm Adina Kopinski, board-certified lactation consultant and fellow mom. Together, we transition more easily into motherhood. Let's grow some happy babies together. Hello, everyone. Welcome again. Today, I'm so excited to be talking with Naomi Levin, who lives in Zichron Yaakov, serves the northern area of Israel, and is a postpartum doula, which is just a really fantastic and so necessary niche. Hi, Naomi.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, Adina. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. So you're our first postpartum doula on the interview series, and I'm really excited for you to tell us how you got into this field, how you got into this niche, and like where you see the role of the postpartum doula.
Awesome. So maybe I'll start with what a postpartum doula is, because I feel like some people might not know exactly what it is. Really, my role as a postpartum doula is to support the mother after birth, specifically, really right when the baby is welcomed into this world, up until around 6 weeks, kind of that sweet spot of the postpartum recovery period. And my goal is to support the mother. That is my main client, but I'm also there for the whole family. So I'm trained in everything related to the mother's healing, everything related to newborn care and newborn feeding, and really to support the entire family as a unit. So that means practically, emotionally, and physically as a postpartum doula. And how I got into this, it came very much from a personal spot. I'm a mother of two, and I come from a family of beautiful, strong women, starting from my mom. She's one of four daughters. And then I have three older sisters, as well as a younger brother. And after I had my first daughter, I was shocked, honestly, after I had her. I just was shocked by the postpartum experience. And although you can't really prepare for postpartum, it's something that you have to experience. I did feel, if I felt unprepared, someone who comes from a family of women who have three older sisters who at that point had already 8 kids. I was an auntie to 8 children. So that prepares you. And I was surprised by the postpartum experience. So I just felt passionate immediately if I wasn't prepared, who would be prepared for this? And how could we live in a world that could prepare mothers and support them? And that's kind of, I started very organically, just reaching out to a lot of friends after they had babies, just checking in on them, like, how are you doing? And really getting to the real questions, like, don't sugarcoat it. Tell me how you're doing with this. Tell me how you're doing with that. And that was one of my best friends. She said, you should really do this. I was like, what do you mean? She's like, you should do this as a profession. Like, you're so good at it. It's so intuitive for you. And you're such a caretaker naturally. And there had been other parts of my life where I had done caretaking. So yeah, that's when I looked into actually getting a certification as a postpartum doula, and really fell in love with the course. And from then, just supporting mothers in this really raw stage right after having a baby.
Yeah, it's so important because, as so many of us know, we talk about it so often, that we live in a world that's fragmented. There is no more village. You don't have this built-in infrastructure of support that women had for millennia. And instead, we need to substitute it with people that we hire. And the role of postpartum doula is crucial because, like, as the lactation consultant, I can come in and help with the feeding, but I can't stay there all day, and I can't stay there overnight. And there's so many more pieces that need to be filled in for that village to actually be complete to support the new family.
Absolutely. I mean, it's such a funny thing because people are like, it takes a village, but where's the village? Yeah. So I'm the village. Like, I'm your number one person for the village right from the beginning. Like, it's definitely true that we live in a society. And I think it's just, there's so much attention put on pregnancy, as there should be. It's such a miracle, and there's so much attention put on birth, but what happens after that? Like no one talks about it. And that's why I feel so passionate about it. People, how many doctor's appointments do you have during your pregnancy? How many people talk to you about like what car seat you're going to get and your stroller? But like, does anyone talk to you about like, how do you plan to feed your baby? And like, how are you feeling emotionally about like, it's all these things that people just, our society doesn't focus. There's such a need for this, to really have women feel supported and nurtured. That's why I decided to call my company Nurture Postpartum, but that's my goal, to really nurture the mother. And I think it's such a need, that is definitely missing. So yeah.
Yeah, it is. I'm glad you're here doing this work.
Thank you.
Can you tell us maybe a story or stories, whatever strikes you, of families that you've supported and how that's played out, how that's nourished the family and nurtured the family, and what people could kind of like envision if they would work with you?
Yeah, for sure. So I've worked with first-time moms, moms it's their first baby, and I've also worked with moms who maybe it's their third baby, even fourth. So it doesn't matter what stage you are in your journey and in your journey of motherhood. The more children you have, a bit more prepared you are. You kind of know what's coming, but at the same time, because you know what's coming, you want that support and you want to be more prepared. And then, when you're having your first, you don't know what you don't know. You can't plan for what you don't have information on and you haven't experienced. That's where I come into the picture. So I support mothers at any and parents at any stage of kind of growing their family. A story that, so many stories come to mind. It's such an honor to support mothers and families during this stage of life. Something that comes to mind is just like this simple picture that we all wish to have just as a person, which is just sitting down at the table and just eating dinner with your family. It's such a simple thing, but so many things go out the door when you're postpartum, and day is night and night is day. And something that I'm thinking about is with one of my first few clients, just helping her have a very relaxed evening where she could spend time with her toddler and her husband, and feel secure, knowing that there was someone there who knew what was going on with her mind, knew what was going on with her body, was there with the baby, and just a real sense of having a moment to just kind of decompress. I think in life in general, but especially when you're recovering from something, small wins is really important. And I think about that a lot with postpartum. And yeah, just sitting down at the table and enjoying and connecting with your family, especially when it comes to sibling adjustment and having an older sibling who's, all of a sudden their parent is totally preoccupied. So that's something that comes to mind. And I just remember that moment and just being able to kind of see it from the outside of just like being able to see this mother just like happy and smiling and just having a moment to really figure out what this new normal is and be there for the family. So that's kind of a story that comes to mind. And then I also have another kind of different story where, every mother is different. Every mother, what their needs are is different. And I tailor my services directly to what those needs are. So a visit between, one mother and another is obviously going to look very different. And, another client that I had was a very religious woman. I had visited her actually in her parents' home. And, you don't, of course, usually have context when you're going in. You're just kind of showing up with one mission in mind, which is just to support the mother with whatever she needs. The mother had called me in this sense. I had to make sure that, the mother's mother, like the grandmother of the new baby had called me in. And of course, I had to make sure that the mother I was coming to serve was totally on board. And of course she was. And I came in and it was an interesting story. I had realized that this religious new mother was actually a single mother. And after we had worked together for a few visits, on our last visit was when I had helped her move back in to her apartment. She was doing so much better with breastfeeding. I kind of ended the visit by just washing whatever dishes were in the sink, sitting down with her, talking about her last visit, to tipat halav, to weigh the baby, and just having that sense of knowing she was in that kind of next, again, that small win, that mini stage of getting settled back in her own space and figuring out this journey that she is on, that all of us are on as mothers. And yeah, it was just a really beautiful moment just to kind of help her settle back in to her home. And yeah, to have her just feel more confident and more comfortable as a mother. And yeah, to help her along on that journey.
How long are your visits usually?
So typically my visits are, I would say, 4 hours each. And again, it totally depends what what the client is looking for. But my visits go in chunks of 3 to 4 hours, and that's to make sure that I can see a feed for the baby. Because mother and baby are so connected, and that's a very key value as a postpartum doula. This idea that you really can't separate mother and baby, even though maybe just a few days or a few weeks ago, the baby did get separated from mother, cutting that umbilical cord, that first postpartum act, but really their needs are so mirrored. And so, they say happy wife, happy life, but it's really happy baby, happy mom in the beginning of postpartum. So yeah, just really making sure that I'm able to see how the baby's doing as well, to be there for that chunk of time. And it helps you, do other things practically to make sure that you can kind of holistically support the mom.
Do you do overnight visits or no?
I do not. I don't do it for a few different reasons. First of all, just personally with my schedule, I don't do it. And then the other thing is something that I was taught in my course, and just the way that I like to support the mother through this new journey. I do feel that, of course, overnight support is great. There's nothing bad about it, but I do feel parenting at night is a skill you have to build. It lasts for quite some time. I do think it's important that, mothers build that muscle, parents. What I typically do is I would be with a client if they want a night shift, like the latest I would do was around like 11 o'clock or even 12. And that's to help them get settled in. So something that's really important in postpartum is just this idea of rest. And I know that sounds really funny, but when you're recovering from something, you might not always get sleep as a postpartum mother, but you can get rest if you have someone there reminding you, and if you have someone there to help you actually meet that goal. So usually what I do is kind of like tuck the mother into bed in a way, and stay through a later period of time. But yeah, I don't do overnight.
Okay, yeah. So I think a lot of people in their minds would confuse postpartum doula with night nanny, but what you're saying is that they are completely different jobs.
Yes, totally different jobs. And when I was living in New York City, I actually found that I was in the beginning competing with like night nurses. So night nannies, night nurses, they are not trained professionals. So they do not have any training on breastfeeding. They do not have any training on bottle feeding. They do not have any core training on newborn care or care about the woman's body. How do you care for hemorrhoids? How do you care for nipples? How do you care just in general? What happens after a C-section? So these are all things, just be careful who you're hiring, or just know that you're using them in a specific way. But correct, my care is very holistic. If you do hire someone during the night, just be careful. Again, know who you're welcoming into your house. I would sooner have a friend or a grandmother or something like that hold your baby for certain hours of the night. And that's something to be careful of too. Boundaries are really important. When you have someone that you pay as a trained individual, they're there just for you. But yes, there's definitely a distinct difference between, a nurse or what they're doing, or a night nurse as they call them in the US. I don't know if that exists the same way here in Israel. But yeah, definitely a different type of thing.
Yeah, I have seen people advertise for it. Not commonly, but I've definitely seen advertisements for night nurses and for postpartum doulas. And I'm so happy that you clarified the difference between those two, because I'll tell you that I personally did think that postpartum doula stayed overnight, and I'm really happy to be able to clarify that box in my mind.
For sure. And some do. Listen, some postpartums do overnight shifts. I personally don't. Again, I have my theory. It's built to support the mother and also just in terms of what I can offer. But I support them up until it's really time that they hopefully would get a few hours of shut-eye. It is a really important distinction to have in your mind and just to be aware of. Thanks for asking.
If you would give a pregnant woman just one piece of advice, what would it be?
It's a great question. I think just kind of taking it day by day, step by step. It really is a process and a journey. And just really being kind to yourself. You can never know what's so much of pregnancy and what kind of baby you're going to have and how things are going to go. So much is out of your control. So I think just kind of taking it day by day and just trusting yourself in the process is really important, and surrounding yourself with good people. Having your support system of your certain friends that that you can rely on, certain professionals. Seek out these good people because they're really going to make a difference in your healing journey and in your journey along the pregnancy as well.
Yeah, I'm hearing a refrain throughout the conversation where you're talking about one step at a time, right? Like one step towards healing, one step towards regulation. Take it day by day. And I could really get a feel for your philosophy, which is celebrate the small wins, let it really go day by day. And when we're forming ourselves into a whole new identity, especially with a first child, I mean, we really do need to be slow and gentle with ourselves because the transition takes time.
Absolutely. It takes so much time and in so many different ways, right? If you have even if you are not a first-time mother, but if you have more children, that identity is changing. Your identity with your partner, if you have a partner, that's changing. So a lot is up in the air. And just having someone who can really be there, that is only there for you. That is my main job, is to be there just for you and support you with a trained mind and heart to fully support you as a mother. But for sure, taking it day by day and small wins, that's definitely, you need someone there to remind you those things. Those things don't necessarily, I mean, I wish I had, someone there to remind me of that all the time. It's hard. I actually, in my course for my doula certification, there's this funny anecdote that I always remember, which was at the very end of the course, our trainer said to us, if you could have a doula for everything in life, just someone there who was fully there to support you, cheerleading you on, she was like, how funny would it be if you had a parallel parking doula, someone who just sat next to you and they're like, you can do it, calm down, trust yourself. If you had a question, you could ask them, but if not, they were just there to support you and they knew the whole context. It was just so funny to me. So sometimes I think about that. I'm like, I wish we could just have a postpartum doula for everything in life. But yes, most importantly, we need it for this huge phase of life. This is how the world is created. The world is created. Look around us. These are all people who came from someone else. Yet, are these mothers supported? It's just really mind-boggling to me that women are not as supported as they could be. And also to enjoy it. If you have a postpartum doula, you can do your best to also enjoy this very sacred period of time that can be very trying as well. So yes, get yourself a postpartum doula. Probably not for parallel parking, but get yourself a postpartum doula for actual postpartum. You won't regret the investment, especially if it's someone that you have a connection with, that you feel that you could spend this time with in this very sacred phase of your life. Yeah,
absolutely. That is such a good message to end on. I love your energy, and I love your energy about the importance of postpartum support because, wow, you don't know you need it until you've given birth, and you really need it. Every woman needs it. It's not just sometimes kind of thing. We need a lot of support after we give birth.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you so much, Naomi.
Yeah, thank you as well.
Friends, check out the full directory for every interview we've done up until now, housed at my website, growinghappybabies.com. But before you go, I've got one question. Are you the kind of person who learns better by listening or by doing? In my 2-part online prenatal breastfeeding class, The Pocket Prenatal, I blend the basics of breastfeeding with practical hands-on skills. Choose to watch the videos on your computer or phone, read through the transcripts, or pop in an earbud, take a walk, and listen to the audio-only podcast version. After you've dived into the what's and whys of breastfeeding, join part 2, our live hands-on class, where we roll up our sleeves and practice the how of breastfeeding. Experience hand expression, learn how to size yourself for better pumping, practice bottle feeding techniques that improve your baby's sucking skills, and use easy bodywork exercises to help your baby's comfort, sleep, and digestion. You're going to walk out of this class with an essential toolkit for navigating early motherhood. This is the class every baby needs their mother to take. go to thepocketprenatal.com and use your listener code, Growing Happy Babies, for a special 10% discount. See you there.